So I would love more accuracy of information, as they say they're the most transparent administration, which is the biggest lie told on American soil, I believe. It is the least transparent. It is the most corrupt. It is the one administration I have seen lie to us, even though we have an accurate documentation of their lies, even if we are witnesses to the lies.
Hey, welcome back to Freedom Insight. Today, according to the clip, Ilhan Omar is under pressure as a Minnesota fraud scandal sparks a federal crackdown. The core is simple. If probers chase political allies and deport suspects, your taxes and trust take the hit. The transcript says she erupted in panic and ripped the Trump administration as least transparent and most corrupt. She adds we have accurate documentation and we're witnesses to their lies. It also alleges arrests and deportations, while investigators zero in on allies. Look, when leaders label everything a lie, the truth gets buried. Does this case end in real fallout or another cover-up?
Let me give you the perfect example. How about Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar? In February of this year, she shot down claims that she's actually a millionaire. She wrote, "My salary is $174,000 before taxes. I don't have stock or own a home, and I'm still paying off my student debt. So if you're going to lie on something that is public, maybe try checking my financial statements, and you will see I barely have thousands, let alone millions." Well, people have checked the public records now.
All right, folks, here's what's going on in plain English. There are serious allegations that massive amounts of taxpayer money in Minnesota were siphoned through shady services, things like daycares, transportation, and other programs that are supposed to help real families. Now the political fight is over who knew, who benefited, and who helped look the other way. Ilhan Omar's name keeps getting pulled into it through donations, associations, and claims about money flowing around her orbit. An inquiry just means officials are looking into the facts and following leads. It's not a conviction. But if even a fraction of the claims are true, normal people get robbed twice, first in taxes, then in trust, because the system feels rigged for insiders. Before we go any further, I want you to hear what's being pushed out there by big voices online, and then we'll separate heat from proof.
Ilhan Omar apparently has a net worth upwards of $30 million, somewhere between $60 and $30 million. And get this, it's because of companies run and owned by her husband, who in 2023 had a net worth of $51,000. In 1 year, that $51,000 grew from $6 to $30 million. 3,500% growth in 1 year. What a good communist. It's always equality for you, elitism for those in power.
You're about to hear claims that range from a blunt accusation to a detailed money story, including a quoted salary line and a wild wealth jump allegation. Okay, a tweet saying committed fraud is not a court ruling and it's not evidence by itself. But the other part matters because it points to specifics people can actually verify. $174,000 before taxes, worth $51,000 in 2023, and then more than $30 million, even between $60 and $30 million, according to the segment. If someone is going to allege that kind of jump, the next step isn't vibes, it's records, financial disclosures, business filings, contracts, and bank trails. If the story's fake, documents will bury it. If it's real, documents will convict it. Now let's go to the bigger claim, not just personal wealth talk, but whether a whole network of fraud was protected, enabled, or quietly tolerated by political power in Minnesota. Listen carefully to the names they put on the table.
I actually spent last week in Minneapolis, and there's two parallel stories. I mean, there is a panic within the Somali community. They've been found out for these massive fraud schemes, daycares, transportation, fake autism services, the whole 9 yards. But the political question is very important, and my sources in Minneapolis state government say that there are open inquiries into the potential involvement at the highest level of Minnesota politics. And so I think people will be taking a hard look not only at Governor Tim Walz, but also Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and State Attorney General 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐿. We know that they have connections with convicted fraudsters. The question is, were they merely complicit in these schemes, or were they part of a broader conspiracy? We don't have strong evidence now, but I think people are starting to take a look.
Well, what we do know is that Ellison promised these guys he'd make the investigation go away, and then he got money as a donation. We know that whistleblowers alerted the Walz administration, and he didn't take any action.
That section is loaded with allegations, so treat it like what it is. a claim according to the speaker, not a verdict. But notice the structure. They say there are open inquiries. They describe fraud across daycares, transportation, fake autism services, and they float an estimate upward of $9 billion stolen. They also name-check Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, and Keith Ellison as people who should face scrutiny. If you're a working person, the reason you should care is simple. When billions get stolen, your community gets less, and the crooks get lawyers, PR teams, and political shielding. There's another moment you need to catch, because it goes straight to the mechanics. How you'd actually trace the money and whether donations were used as a pipeline. Focus on the money trail part and the promise of tools to follow it.
And we know a couple of these people, like Omar, got money from these convicted fraudsters as political donations. Are you saying that there could have been a conspiracy to move the welfare fraud money into their war chests?
It's certainly possible, and I think the person, and really I'm grateful for it, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has all the tools at his disposal to actually investigate the money trail, to figure out how the money flowed between these fake nonprofits and Somali fraudsters and Minnesota politicians. And I'll tell you, the atmosphere in Minneapolis was electric. I mean, people had the sense of anticipation. Something big is coming. And look, I hope they get to the bottom of it, because we're talking about, some estimates upward of $9 billion stolen. These politicians seem to, at a minimum, have turned a blind eye to the fraud, or even directed people below them to take steps so that it wasn't uncovered. This scandal is not over, and I think it could end with significant action. And again, I think Secretary Bessent is the right man for the job.
Now we're talking about the only thing that matters, the trail. The speaker's point is basically follow the slow, from fake nonprofits to connected operators to political influence. They even frame it as officials having all the tools to map the movement of funds. And they talk about the atmosphere being electric, and something big is coming. Fine, then do it. Subpoenas, audits, charge sheets where warranted, and clear public explanations where claims are wrong. Because if politics can wave off fraud at this scale, you're living under a two-tier reality. Rules for you, loopholes for the well-connected. And here's where this story gets uglier. When a politician is confronted directly, the reaction often tells you what strategy is coming next. Denial, attack the questioner, mock the evidence, change the subject. Watch this exchange and listen for the line about the $9 billion fraud and the way the pushback escalates.
Congresswoman Omar, yesterday you told me to please read when I asked you about the $9 billion fraud that you denied is happening, but I have it right here. I read. Look, Chairman Comer opens hearing on massive fraud scandal, $9 billion.
That's what Comer believes, because he's as smart as you are.
It's not just Comer. It's Scott Bessent. It's federal prosecutors. It's House Oversight.
Absolutely
and